My name's Rebecca Conley, and I am here on behalf of Farmhouse Vineyards. They are one of my favorite clients to work with. I have a small business called Red Loves Wine, and so I do a little bit of things with different wineries, but Farmhouse is one of my favorites. I'm a longtime fangirl of the Farmhouse 4, and we are here today at Veldhuizen Farms, and just to give you a little bit of background, coronavirus. So we are not having any Farmhouse Vineyards pickup parties this quarter, Q4. Q4 is here and 2020 is going out the window. Cannot wait. But these guys are the story behind your charcuterie boxes that you picked up today. And we are doing a wine club pairing with your Q4 wines and Veldhuizen cheese. So this is my friend Stuart, and I'm going to let him tell you all about Veldhuizen cheese.
Well, it's great to have you here. So I'm Stuart Veldhuizen, and I'm with Veldhuizen Family Farm, and we produce raw milk cheeses. So raw milk meaning unpasteurized. We never get the milk warmer than the temperature of the cow during any time during cheese making. And we don't add any colorings to our cheese. And so you'll notice that the colors are, slightly variations depending on how green the grass is. So greener the grass, yellower the cheese. And we'll talk a little more about that as we go through the few that we have here today. And so we do a lot of grass-fed and very low grain diet, and just keep things as natural as possible. So I've been making cheese for 18 years, and my wife and I started this about 18 years ago, and kind of started
That's a long time.
Yes, it is.
I didn't realize that y'all had been in business.
Yeah, 18 years.
Ooh.
And really started on a shoestring, and just had, I don't know, what we had, 15 cows in the beginning. It's probably too many. And things just kept growing, and we started marketing at the Austin Farmers Market, and then put a store on the farm, and
very cool.
Now here we are in this virtual day, which some of us oldies resist, but
I'm right there with you.
We kick and scream about
this
some things.
This is my last virtual of 2020, so I am okay with that. Tell me a little bit about the cows. So today we're doing all cow's milk cheeses.
Right.
Which is a first for me to do exclusively cow cheeses,
Okay.
but I think it's pretty fun. Tell us about the cows. Like, what's the routine in the day?
So the routine in the day is we milk twice a day. So we start at 4:30 in the morning. And it doesn't take very long to milk.
That's too early.
Yeah, it is.
Too early.
And right now we're making cheese twice a week. So on Monday and Thursdays we make cheese. And so we'll store the milk, just, refrigeration. And then on a cheese making day, we'll start about maybe 5:30 making cheese, and
I was going to ask,
and
what
then
about the other 5 days? What are you doing with all that milk? That
yeah.
answer
And
my
then
question.
and then in the afternoon we start at 4:00 in the afternoon for milking.
So how many gallons of milk? Does it vary seasonally with their diet, how much they're producing?
Yeah, it does vary a little bit. It depends on how much rain and green grass and
What's the average
lactations.
output per cow?
I don't get a lot of milk because I don't
Yeah.
feed all the soy and
Right.
stuff, but I get around 4.5 to 5 gallons a day, which in today's time is a pretty small amount, honestly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dairies that'll get, 9 and 10 gallons a day.
Yeah. Cool.
So it's huge.
Yeah, big difference.
And big difference. So I'm really looking, I'd say on my dairy, I'm really looking for flavorful milk. And I'm not so interested in just the quantity.
The quantity. This is
but
a lot like wine, y'all.
I really want concentrated flavors to make the cheese. So a lot of people will be like, man, what do you do that's so different with cheese making? And, sure, everybody has their own little twist on making cheese. But a lot of what you get is from the base of your product, and that's milk. Yeah. And so we honestly toyed around with, just because of the workload, should we buy milk? But you know what it always comes back to? Will our cheese be as good? And I just don't think it will be.
I don't think it will be.
So with this, we get, my wife and I are like, oh God, we're getting tired from milking all these cows all the time, and we kind of go around this mountain every time.
The secret sauce, the secret milk here. So.
And so we milk a lot of Jerseys with a little bit of Guernsey in there, and the milk is amazing. Like even our fluid milk, when people have tasted it, they're like, man, how come your milk is so amazing? And it's really just because how we produce it.
Okay.
And it's
just like wine, right?
It really is. And our farm, we built up the soils so much in the last 20 years. Yeah. And I think that makes a difference because the grasses are better and all these little things that end up translating into this amazing product.
That much thought process went into the cheeses.
Yeah. So. I mean, I even looked, back on topsoils. It's kind of fun. I'd love to show you sometime, but I took a group out a number of years ago. I said, let me show you how our soil's changed. And I dug the soil down about 10 inches and it just got red as red can be. And I said, it used to be everything that was red was all the way to the top. And so we have so much more richness.
Profiles.
Yeah. And
we're
all that has
missing
changed.
A crucial part here, which is Dr. Dirt.
Yeah.
He would be the perfect person for this conversation.
Right.
So
that may be for another time, but it'd be fun to go out with somebody like that really knows soils. But I'm telling you, my soil has changed so much. And there's places that would hardly grow grass that now it's some of my best fields.
That's really interesting.
Just by really building up soil. So
cultivating
you really can,
soil.
You really can build up soil.
Super
and all of that changes and translates to amazing milk.
Well, I love that you brought it up because that is so much a part of winemaking. Is really taking care of the soil that you grow the grapes in, and cultivating that ecosystem.
Yep.
So I think that is a perfect segue into our first wine, which we are already drinking. But if you haven't opened yours yet, we're starting with Oh Hey Charlet, which is a brand new wine club release. I'm gonna put this up here for y'all to see, and it's just the cutest bottle on the planet. I will say that. Who doesn't love an adorable cow? I mean, it's just really cute. So I love the play on words here. We were just discussing this. The Oh Hey Charlet. This is not made from Chardonnay, but is the Chardonnay lovers wine for Texas. This is 100% barrel fermented Roussanne. Probably one of my favorite wine picks out of 2020, and I know Jessica Dupuis just included this in her Texas Monthly Top Wines of 2020 list that just went out. So it's super tasty.
It is.
and we are pairing this with your Havarti. So tell us about Havarti.
So Havarti is one that I've only been making for a couple of years now. I really wanted something that was milder because I do have a lot of sharper cheeses, and so I wanted something that was milder. And we ended up going with a natural rind on this one, so which is really nice. So a natural rind, for those of you, maybe a lot of you are familiar, but for those of you who aren't, a natural rind is created by washing this every day for about a month, 3 weeks to a month. Most of it turns out to about a month. And you can tell and look at yours that it's just a dried cheese that's, that forms this barrier on the cheese so that molds don't go through and it doesn't dry out, all the way through. And by having a nice natural rind, it lets more oxygen in for the bacteria.
It's kind of like barreling.
Yes.
Barreling
Yes, it's just amazing what it does by having a natural rind. So a lot more work and a lot more maintenance to create this because it's a daily task to create that rind. So, and it is 100% edible. So remember that.
Question, you beat me.
Yeah, so don't, when you eat this cheese, you really can eat the whole thing.
Cool.
And if if you're not real fond of it, you can always just, leave a little bit on the edge, and then just grate all of that up and use it in a dish.
Yeah.
You can put them in your scrambled eggs. You can put it on top of another dish, but
Pasta.
yeah, it's 100% edible. So I always tell people don't throw the rind, even if, like if you don't like to chew on it or whatever. But
for sure.
it's really not. This is a pretty tender rind because it's a young cheese.
Yeah.
This is maybe only 2.5 months old.
So what does Havarti refer to? Is it just the style in which the cheese is made?
It is a style in which it's made. So it's a type of a process to do this. So Havarti, it's a little bit of not a true washed curd cheese, but we do wash a little bit of lactose off the curd, and then we salt it in the vat,
right?
And then we'll pack it into the mold.
Okay.
And so it is a little different, but it is a really creamy texture. There's butteriness to it. It is a very smooth. This one. It is a little more maybe of an open texture than a commercial Havarti.
Right.
I don't press these real hard.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. It's got some
but
more air bubbles.
It does have a little more eye formation. But the reason for that, I don't like to, press everything so hard. But but the
Seems
other
like you would lose a lot of flavor.
Well, there's things that can change with it, but also with raw milk cheese, the textures are different.
Yeah.
So these are things that if you haven't had raw milk cheese, just remember that we aren't denaturing proteins and fats. So the textures are going to be different. And you'll notice that all the way through on all the cheeses.
Right.
That the textures will be different.
I think texture is probably one of my favorite things when we taste your cheese with the wines, is that sometimes you get a little crystalline, maybe on that last one.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too. And then, of course, some other ones too. The longer they're aged, the more
but
crystal
it's
you
kind of
get.
like the structure of the wine, when we get into pairing these, it's kind of work because sometimes you're like, do we go similar texture? Do we go different texture? What do we do? But I feel like with this wine, the Havarti just pairs so nicely, and this has this rich creaminess to it from the barrel fermentation, and then you get the creaminess of the Havarti and the mild nature, kind of like the salt.
Yes.
It's so pretty.
Most definitely.
So pretty.
Yeah, it's a really, both of these are very easy consumption.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Absolutely.
I'm super okay with that. But it's just such a pretty pairing.
Very clean.
Super clean. I really like it. So, if you guys are at home and you have questions about cheese making, winemaking, any of it, drop it in the comments. We're going to get right back to you on this. Full disclosure, we are pre-recording So we will be watching for those comments, and we will get you all the answers that you need. So, but I hope you guys really, really like this wine. Thanksgiving at this point has already passed, but this would have been a perfect Thanksgiving table wine with a turkey. So,
for sure.
So this is just a wonderful little sipper. And what I love about this wine going into December is that it's not a wine that has to be super cold. Just go outside, enjoy the cool weather if we get it. I pray we get some cold weather. And just enjoy it on the back porch. It's a really easy sipper. It pairs great with foods. You know, go-to for this would be like roasted chicken with a really nice potato, or if you're just on the back porch enjoying wine, grab some Havarti because it's a fabulous pairing.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
On to cheese number 2. We have to finish our wine first, huh?
Poured me too much.
Yeah. We'll edit it. That's okay. We don't believe in wine abuse over here.
No.
So, the next wine that we're on to is cultivated, which I don't believe you guys have had yet, and you'll have to bear with me because I'm just the Farmhouse fangirl over here. I can't tell you exactly what you've had this year, but I do know this is a new release. So, 2019 cultivated. Overall, a fairly young wine. I'm excited to lay this down and see how it matures in the bottle because much like cheese, wine grows up in the bottle and through aging and all of those things. But 2019 and cultivated is a tribute to the farmers. Farmhouse, as you know, the farmhouse for the Incredibles. The Seatons and the Fergusons. We have the big farming family that is Farmhouse. And I just made a big spill on that wine. Oh well. This is a tribute to all the people who work in acres and not in hours. And this is just a really lovely, lovely wine that's a tribute for that. And it is so light and refreshing. Its main blend is Dolcetto, Cabernet Sauvignon, Counois, and Cinsault. So a pretty interesting mix of grapes, especially that little Counois variety, which you guys have had with the main staple of Revolution. It's an odd grape. It's unique to Farmhouse. It's their flagship red. But it's such a pretty blending grape, and it lends sort of that really supple, clean mouthfeel. So we are pairing this with one of my favorite cheeses ever.
Yay! Good. Texas
I'll
Star.
let you introduce it.
Texas Star. So this is one of my own creations of cheese. So I didn't really model this after a certain cheese.
So this is your science experiment gone
it,
wild.
Yeah, it really is. It's really kind of fun.
Master inventor.
And, you know, I guess the only one that I'd say that it's modeled after is the Paragon.
Mm-hmm.
But we put a rind on the Paragon, and then we ended up making the Texas Star where we did a natural rind, and we changed the moisture level a little bit on this one. So, but yeah, this is a brined cheese. So we'll pack the curd.
For Turkey Day festivities, right?
Yeah,
Similar
exactly.
to your brining your turkey.
Yeah,
So.
except it'll stay in the brine for about 30 hours
Ooh,
because the cheese is pretty dense.
project.
Yeah, so we make brine from whey and saturate it with salt, and then we soak the wheels in the brine.
And whey is what separates from the curd.
Correct.
I
So
learned
you got
this.
curds and whey. So when you start out with the milk, and after we add our cultures and rennet, then we get curds and whey.
Right.
And so we drain the whey off, and we can use some of that for making
And it's what's in
brine.
all those really expensive protein drinks and powders. And
Absolutely.
all of that.
They have a
Yeah.
dehydration program where they make all the whey
I see
protein.
your next business venture in your future.
Oh, okay.
Just kidding. You already have enough to do.
Oh, my
There's
goodness.
not that
Don't
many
we
hours
know?
in the
No.
day. So
So the Texas Star is really nice. So it is a brined cheese. It's lightly pressed also, so actually a little more text open formation to it than the Havarti. And
Good.
another one that's just creaminess, very
So good.
very creamy.
Mm-hmm.
There's, I say, nice grassy notes to this one too. It's really easy, really easy eating.
I really love if you're at home and you're doing this tasting with us. Take a sip of the wine, take a sip of the cheese,
Yep.
or a bite of the cheese, take a sip of the wine again, see how the flavors change. It's such a fun experience because they're totally different when you pair them together.
Yep.
And pairings can go like one of three ways. They can work together and enhance both the cheese and the wine. They can enhance the wine or the cheese singularly, and then they can like just not work together.
Yeah.
Like
it happens.
Yes, we have been there. You will know.
And it's
we have
okay.
not
Yeah,
said
you'll
they're
know.
pairing. Yeah. So just because it's cheese, this is like my favorite thing about 2020 is everybody's making their charcuterie boards at home. This is like the trending thing on Instagram where people make charcuterie boards and take pictures of it. And
Yeah.
they're experts. And they put the grapes on the board and all these things. I'm like, stop putting grapes on your charcuterie boards. They don't pair with wine. Don't do it. So much sugar in the grapes, guys. Don't do that. But, you know, just because cheese is cheese doesn't mean it goes with wine all
Absolutely.
the time. So, I mean, and you
You
guys
gotta
have done
find the
some
right
like
one.
beer pairing classes with
Beer
cheese
can be
also,
great, too.
which is fun. So,
Especially these from the microbreweries where they
right?
really make good beers, you know.
I think the best part of 2020 has been all the small local businesses that have had to fight to stay a business,
Stay in the market,
right?
yeah.
But also to be able to communicate their story, kind of like what we're doing here today. But we've learned so much about everybody's business and,
Right.
and the different things that they do, and I'm not jealous of the dairy life. I'm okay. I'm okay with my life. I don't need to get up at 4 a.m. I do that anyways with kiddos.
That's
but,
right.
You know,
got it.
Yeah.
You got a good
So,
taste of it.
I'm not jealous of it. But what happens with this pairing is you get sort of that creamy nuttiness from the cheese, and then it's just like this pop of fruit after you have it. And it totally changes the wine. And I think this is a pairing that works together. It really enhances the cheese and the wine
Yeah, and the
at
wine,
the same
yeah.
time.
You get both.
Which is like the trifecta of wonderful
Yeah.
for pairings.
Right.
So
Yeah, when
I
you can
love
find a good one like that, it's like, oh yeah.
yeah,
this is
no,
beautiful.
that's a good one.
Because
for sure.
you know, you'll, like I said, you'll know when you don't get a good one because it just makes you cringe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, no, you're like, that was just
Yeah.
strange.
Yes. Or you warn your friends, don't try that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it really brings out this like nuttiness on the finish of the wine, and I mean, it just totally changes the wine. It warms it up a little bit. It's a really pretty pairing.
Yeah.
So I think we're on
it's a lot of
to cheese number 3
All right.
and wine number 3, which is going to be another new release for you guys. And I love this wine, and it took me a little while to understand it, but this is a wine that is super synonymous with this year, being Reserve Jackknifed. Jackknifed is a reference to when things go awry on the farm and you have to be able to pivot and make it all work. Inevitably, things can go wrong. And so that's all about what the farmer does. And I can't think of a better tribute to farmers in 2020 as those who have kept food on our table despite all the craziness going on, and you know, I just can't think of a better tribute wine for 2020 other than Reserve Jackknife, because it really went awry, but some really good things came out of this year. So this wine is a GSM, traditional GSM, although in Texas I'm going to rearrange the letters and call it a MGS. Thank goodness it's not an MSG. Really bad wine joke there. But so this is modeled after the traditional GSM blends that you're going to find in France, and that refers to the grapes that are in it. So Mourvedre, Grenache, Syrah. Luckily, Farmhouse grows all of those things, and so in this one you've got the Super Stellar Mourvedre, which everybody in Texas is in love with. It's such a malleable grape. It can taste different regardless of where it's grown. Has this really bright acidity, lots of bright cherry notes. Get into the Grenache. Grenache has a lovely texture. It has terrible color. You're never going to see Grenache by itself unless it's like Grenache Blanc or Grenache Rosé, because it doesn't color up. It just, the structure is
But the
just
flavor
not there.
alone is still
The
good?
flavor is fabulous.
Okay.
And then, you know, Syrah. Syrah is always a favorite around
Absolutely.
here. We love the Syrah. So bright cherries, pepper, smoky, tobacco, all those good things. So this is a 2017 vintage. So this has been in barrel a little bit longer. For those of you that are original Pray Dirt members, you probably have noticed that we're starting to get some more red wines in the mix. Well, it takes a little while to barrel wines, right?
Yeah.
So the first couple of years of business for Farmhouse focused mostly on whites and rosés, because that was what they could bring to market. And, you know, heck of an applause for those guys, because they're doing it the right way. They're not just out buying red wine and selling it to you. They're doing it the right way. They're sending it to barrel, and they're making sure the product's
Giving it
good,
time.
right?
Giving it time.
All good things come with time.
It does. You know, I'll just say that even with our cheese, that
Right?
I've tasted cheeses from, you know, a lot of cheesemakers around, and there's a lot of good cheesemakers, but there's some cheeses, of course, I know I've been doing it a while, so you become a, you know, kind of a snob with it all. And,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of cheeses that need a little more time. And it's kind of like, man, if they just give that another 2 months, it would be like, whoa, amazing. And sometimes they just do it too green. So I am a little more of a stickler where I don't like to leave cheese go out unless it's ready.
Yeah.
Because it's fun when it's ready.
Well, it's
Really,
that quality moment.
Absolutely.
You know? At the end of the day, these are both farming businesses, but they're artisan businesses.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I think those are quality standards that you have to stick to, and that's what makes you guys special.
So this next one is redneck cheddar. So this is a kind of a fun cheese, and I'll just tell you a little story how we got the name of it. I did make a cheese years ago where I used beer, okay, and we didn't name it. It was my first time.
Right.
And so what we do is we take this dark beer and we pour it over the curd before we press it. So with cheddar, you salt it, the curd, and then we pour the beer over it, and then we leave it soak for a little while and stain, and then we press it. And so the first time when I made it, we were just kind of calling it a beer cheese, and you know, we're trying to come up with a name, and so I said, man, maybe we should name it like redneck cheddar. And my wife is like, no, you can't do that.
Pump the brakes.
Yeah.
More redneck.
And so we had some customers at our store, and they're like, oh, come on, you have to name it. And I says, I thought about, you know, redneck cheddar. And they're like, oh, that would be great.
I can just see Connie over here.
Yes,
like,
and poor Connie
no.
is just like, no. And my son was in the office and said, Jesse, make some redneck cheddar labels so we have it for these new customers. And so it stuck, and that was how redneck came up.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And now
So-
every day when she sees redneck cheddar.
Yes. So this is, we use a spindle tap out of Houston.
Cool.
And this is let me think here. What is that one? The beer.
It's a 12% Russian style stout.
Okay, it's
called
12%.
Masiete Crudo.
12% Russian
That is
stout.
some stout
Oh.
beer.
It's
Let me tell you.
12%. That's like
it
a
is some
wine.
strong stuff.
Oh, if you have a cup of that, you know it. You can't sip on much beer while you're making cheese.
Well, you know, it does take a lot of beer to make good wine. So at least we've got that working for us.
So it's really fun. You can see this one. If you look, you know, kind of get your light right, you can see a little marbling through it. It is a little darker because of the beer, but it's also more golden because we had really green grass at the time. So both of those things just really make the cheese amazing. But this really has a malty finish. So when you taste this, you really taste the maltiness on the finish.
Well, and my favorite is the little crunchy bits, like the little crystalline moment that happens, depending on, you know, the age of the cheese.
Depends how old it is.
Yeah.
So the crystals come from lactose. And so once it reaches a certain point, lactose will start to crystallize.
It's my favorite part.
It's kind of wild in this. This is a fairly young cheese, but I already get a little
It's
bit.
got a little crunch to it.
A little bit. And if it would 90 days more, you have a lot more crunch to it. And once it gets over a year, then you get this.
And then it turns into old redneck cheddar, right?
Old redneck. And that's really fabulous.
Yeah.
So,
it is a great
and
cheese.
really, we have some old redneck that's, you know, a couple years old, and it's just like fabulous. Makes it a lot of fun. So yeah, so this
I'm gonna have
talk
a little
talk
bit more.
about the pairing here.
Well, so this wine, I love that it has what I at least initially picked up on was that it was fruity to start, and it had these really wonderful peppery moments. But you add the cheese into the mix, and you get this like sudden rush of smoke, which is crazy. I don't know where that comes from, but for me, that's what happens. And so, I mean, that's got to be the Syrah working with it, a little bit of the structure from the Syrah, but it's just so fantastic. And what I really love about this pairing is that, you know, the cheese has so much texture, the wine's got a lot of texture and structure to it. It's an all-around great pairing.
Yeah.
So I think you guys should join us in the cheese and wine pairing experience. And give us some feedback. Let us know if you guys enjoyed it. If you want to see these more often, we'll keep doing it if we need to, you know. Hopefully 21's a little different than this.
We hope so.
But what I was going to say that I forgot to get out earlier, not to go off on a tangent, but you guys actually pulled some young Texas Star for us out of the cave. You cellar your cheeses in a cave.
Yes.
Age your cheeses.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, just to give you guys an idea of the artistry behind this, you guys know, like, which batches of cheese might work better than other batches, and the variation of the vintage and the season, and, you know, the milk fat content versus what kind of grass they were eating. It is crazy.
It really is. And a lot can change
So
throughout
much
the
can
seasons.
change.
It's really fabulous.
Well, I just love it. It's a lot like what we go through with wine and the different phases and the evolution of the wine in the bottle. And I just think it's a fantastic, fun experience. So can't think of a better way to end 2020 than with an at-home wine and cheese pairing for you guys. We are all super sad. I'm watching news feeds turn up right and left at wine clubs that aren't getting to get together because of all of this craziness. But hopefully this was a top-notch experience for you. Tell us about your cheese club. Like, where can people get more cheese? I mean, you guys are distributed, so what would be some common grocery stores, A, and then B, they can buy directly from you guys online?
Absolutely, online. Yeah. So veldhuizencheese.com.
We will post that in the link because it's hard to spell.
and then or otherwise you can just Google cheese at Dublin, Texas.
Yes.
And we'll pop up cheese at Dublin, Texas.
We may have to start over again. I never told anybody we were in Dublin.
And so the cheese club, what we do is 5 cheeses, roughly 2 pounds of cheese, and we do that quarterly. Or at least 4 times a year, I should say. Not quite quarterly, because during this hot summer, we kind of make the summer long because
pros at that.
Yeah,
we've got this down pat.
And then we will do, you know, some unique cheeses. Not all of them. Some of them will be popular ones, or just some exceptional ones that we'll put in there. Like if I find one that's been aged for quite a while, and it's like, oh my Lord,
this is
for the cheese club.
Yes.
Because believe me, there's some that come in there, you know, that we'll find an old one. I'm just like,
He's
oh
selling me a
my.
membership right now.
Yes. It's like we have to save this for the cheese club.
For the people that really appreciate it, right? Yeah.
Because you know, I love it when people love good cheese and they appreciate it.
Yeah.
I don't want just, cheese going to somebody who's like, oh, this is kind
I
of
doesn't know
strong.
what to do with this.
Yeah. So,
And we're doing
anyways,
some food pairings along with it.
so we do some food pairing. So we'll send something along to pair, one or two with it, and I'll usually make something special, maybe one or maybe even two special ones that are just a little batch that you get through the cheese club, or if you come into the shop and we have some of it left, only cheese club members can buy it.
I know this for a fact because I really wanted basil Gouda.
Yeah. And you didn't get any?
Happen.
You can still sign up and still get We still have some.
Hard sales.
Yes.
Yeah,
Boy, they were pretty strict on you in there, weren't they? They're like, wow. We'll see if we can take care of you.
Yeah. Maybe.
So we'd love to have you come out to the farm or join the cheese club or both, and
And you guys have
enjoy
a
some
couple
great
of
stuff.
hill country locations, other wineries that are selling your cheese too. If people need to pick it up.
Calais has it.
Oh, Calais has it. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I should maybe get Chelsea in here just a moment.
No, I mean
And
If you're in Austin, Antonelli's has a couple of the cheeses.
yeah,
For sure.
Antonelli's does.
Houston Dairy Maids.
Yep,
Central
Scardello's in
Market
Dallas.
has
Most
something.
central markets will have something of ours, yes.
So just look for that really long Veldhuizen. You gotta learn how to spell it, you guys.
And redneck cheddar is probably almost always going to be somewhere.
Really?
So you
Oh,
could,
yeah.
I did not know that.
Central Market. I mean, if you
Okay.
if you go, if you don't remember Veldhuizen, just remember redneck cheddar because that's
Redneck
probably the one
Can't
that
forget
they'll
it.
have.
Can't forget
There's a lot of people that didn't know Veldhuizen cheese, but they know redneck cheddar.
redneck cheddar.
So,
And if you are a blue cheese fan, I would encourage you to try the Bosque Blue. It's the most fabulous blue cheese on the planet. If you don't like blue cheese, I still encourage you to try it because we love this.
I agree,
So,
because I've had numerous people that walked out of my store that said, I don't like blue cheese, and I get them to taste it, and
Absolutely
they
fabulous.
walk out with it.
it's fabulous.
So it's very much like a Stilton, and it's
That's why I
just
love
very,
it.
very creamy, and just this beautiful balance of the blue, the creaminess of the cheese itself that just really blend to make this amazing.
Didn't you guys
touch
make like
to-
a triple cream blue too?
Yes.
Is that ever coming back?
Actually, I have some that should be ready pretty quick. So I think we're
I know
saving.
what my brother's getting for Christmas.
Yeah, we're kind of holding that back a little bit. That probably will be going out in the next cheese club, honestly.
Oh, jeez.
I love that, OG.
But what I will say, if you're a blue cheese lover, Katie Jane's up there just shaking her head right now. She's not a blue cheese girl. But if you have from your last farmhouse shipment, you still have the orange muscat jelly. Put this on top of the blue cheese with a cracker. Oh my
bet.
gosh, it's fabulous.
I'll
It's
bet
one of
it
my
is fabulous.
favorite bites.
I'm sure it's amazing.
Yeah, like I don't even have to have dinner. I could just have a bite of that and I'd be good for the rest of the day.
It's kind of funny you mentioned that triple cream. So that was kind of a forced cheese that I made because I had some vat trouble. And so I couldn't make cheese for a few days. And so I drained off skim milk and I just let the cream keep coming to the top. And I'm like, what am I going to do with this? So finally I was like, oh, let me just make a blue cheese and see what happens.
It's so fabulous.
And it ended up being this most amazing. It was like blue butter.
Yeah, pretty much.
You could
like
people literally spread it,
It's
could
great.
spread it on. There was one person that made kind of a, almost like a chocolate bread or brownie type. And
Sounds super good.
they spread that blue cheese on, and it's like unbelievable. Yeah.
So good.
A lot of fun.
So good. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed your hopefully first and maybe last charcuterie pairing. Maybe not.
Oh, we hope.
I mean,
do
we'll
this
keep
together
doing it
next
if you
time.
guys
We
enjoy
hope it's
it.
your first, and then we hope it's many more
We just hope we
pairings
get
after
to do
that.
this in person at some point. So, but we hope you guys enjoyed. You got 3 beautiful wines and 3 artisan cheeses, and we just want to wish everybody a happy end to Q4 of 2020, and
And stay healthy.
Stay healthy.
And positive.
Have wonderful holidays. Enjoy the wines. There's some
And
fabulous deals coming out with Farmhouse.
And get together with family anyways.
Yeah. May as well. Gotta do it. Well, Stuart, thank you so much. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Many blessings to y'all.
Cheers. Okay, I'm gonna reach across.